World Superbike in Estoril, guys. There was one champion that came out of the weekend. I think Top Rack was hoping he got that. That didn't happen. So it looks like it's going down to the last round. I mean, it's an uphill battle for Bulaga for sure. But before I don't even know, I'll leave this up to you, guys. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about Attack Yamaha and what they did in World Superbike first before we talk about the rest of the championship, or we follow that up? We start with TJ, man. How you want to kick it off?
Yeah, man, I think we should start with Attack Yamaha
All right.
because you know, I mean, what an experience to get the chance to go to World Superbike for the last two rounds. Like so, we still got a chance to watch Bobby entertain us and for himself to improve in one more round. That's still crucial because we still
Mm-hmm.
have to get a champion. So um, and for him to be out there, he's already seen a lot. Like he got the tires smoking. Even like I think it was race one. It was a crazy turn one incident that he just avoided. But it's good to have Attack Yamaha get that experience and bring that data over to the US. It's very good. Good to see.
I completely agree. Bobby Shakes, I know you're a UK born and bred guy. I don't know if you're saying king at this point or still saying queen, because I think the queen still lives on. But what does it mean for a team like Attack Yamaha to go from Motor America to go spend a couple of rounds at the World Superbike level? I mean, we've seen this in car racing, and people are trying to, I don't necessarily say move up, but it'd be cool to see Attack Yamaha in World Superbike permanently. What are your thoughts?
This is how we grow the sport. This is how we grow attendance. This is how we put out more bikes. This is how the manufacturer grows. It's just an upward swing. It's all the big manufacturers have to participate because we want. Listen, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The motorcycle industry declines 1% a year every year. I don't know why. We have to get seriously tight and play defense mode now because the bikes are so damn expensive, right? I mean, Harleys are 40 grand. What are you going to buy? A brand new Harley? You're going to buy a car for 40 grand, right? The sport bikes used to be something that you could buy, wheelie, and crash and buy another one. You can't do that anymore. We have to grow the sport. And how we grow the sport is by getting all manufacturers in. We get them in at the race level with the technology, and all that stuff will trickle down. Not like wealth, right? Race technology is the only thing in humanity that really does trickle down towards poor people. So I think we need it. It's good for Yamaha, it's good for the sport, good for attendance, and just good for relevance.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. And we're going to hear more about the attendance and stuff like that from the U.S. But Lewis, man, what are your thoughts on your boy Bobby and how he did this first round in Estoril? I mean, it's huge for Dainese, is huge all around Attack Yamaha. I mean, there's not a sad story unless it was not having another team from the U.S.
Yeah, no, I mean it's huge for Dainese either way because the two guys at the front are both rocking our gear. So we're doing great. And then we've got a couple other guys rocking our gear. And as far as like, to me, the biggest part of this weekend, obviously, I'm looking at Top Rack. I'm wondering if Top Rack's going to lock it away this weekend. But Bulaga he's got a dog in him. He doesn't want to give it up. If there's an opportunity, he's going to take it. And even though they battled hard, you look at the racing, they're battling hard, but they're battling clean. Nobody can really say that somebody is taking me out, pushing me off my line. Like, they battle hard, but it's almost like they have a mutual respect battling hard. Like, I'm not going to take it easy on you, but I also respect you as a rider. I'm going to put it on you, but I'm not going to put it on you.
That's
so
one-sided, right? Because that's Top Rock doing all that pushing and jumping into spots that he really can't fit, and Bulaga is just, he's leaving the space. He's leaving the space.
Well, he understands that, there's different dynamics working here. So if you're on the outside, the inside, you know how you take a corner a little bit differently based on the dynamics of your bike. So maybe the way his bike works is a little bit different than Top Rack's bike. So he has to give that spot, not because he wants to, but because the Ducati works in a certain way and it leaves that spot open. And Top Rack those two guys having raced each other so much over the past 2 years, they know the dance. You know, if you really are that top level of racing and you're racing the same couple of guys, you know what everybody's dance is. You know everybody's style. You know everybody's weaknesses, everybody's strength, not just the rider, but the bike. So you look for these opportunities. It's just the Top Rack bounces on every opportunity. And I'll give you this much. So does Bulaga. Bulaga, you leave the door open. My man is not going to wait for you to close it. He's going to kick the door in.
Right.
So, you know, yeah, Top Rack's getting the best out of it right now, but, you know, Bulaga's still a dog in the fight. He won that race that he needed to win. He stayed competitive all weekend. He did what he had to do. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you know, we have our boy Bobby Fong, man. And the one thing I can say about Bobby is, you know, he went in there knowing that he just wanted to finish in the top 20. And he finished every race in the top 20. And every single race, he improved by one spot.
Yeah.
You know, so if you look at what his free practice one time is to his final time at the end of the sessions or at the end of the, he improved by close to 3.5 seconds from his practice one to where he did his fastest lap time.
Right.
And you got to think about it, man. At the pointy end of the sword, improving 3 seconds is a lot, man. When you're a beginner and you're going to the track and you go from beginner to intermediate, you could jump 15 seconds. But when you're at that very top echelon, like, yo, 3 seconds is a lot, man, to find.
Right. Yeah.
And
this is first time there. And you know, we've seen it with other guys. So he has to, I mean, you know, regardless of how this next round comes away, I think overall the whole team has to come away, you know, feeling good going into next season in Motor America.
I know for sure. I mean, the one downside they have is I'm sure they wish they could bring a truckload of Pirelli tires back with them because, you know, they see what these Pirelli tires can do. And trust me, once you ride on a Pirelli and then you have to go back to Dunlop, you know, you're like, damn, bro.
Once you
There's
feel
a
that grip, you're
vast
not letting
difference.
go.
Yeah, once you got that grip, man, it's like, so this is how a tire is supposed to work. Damn. All right, let's go back to these shitty ass Dunlops. But you know what? Him and the whole attack team have nothing to be ashamed of. They went out there, they showed up, they finished the weekend, they finished every race. I mean, there was a lot of DNFs throughout the weekend, and they weren't one of them, man. They stayed on the bike, they stayed up on twos, they made it through the weekend, and every single race, race one, the sprint race, and race two, they kept improving their position. They kept moving up from one to the next to the next. So they have nothing to be ashamed of. And they go into this last round again, man. They've got nothing to lose. They've got everything to gain. And I think the experience that the team and Bobby and everybody is getting right now is unbelievable, man. I think they walk away with a lot of W's. I don't see any L's here. I see a lot of W's.
Right. Now let me ask this, TJ. Do you think that you know, World Superbike Motor America should have more wild cards? And I put this to all you guys, and you know, the ones that want to speak on the financial part of that, speak on it. But as far as just like, you know, wouldn't it be cool to have a you know, like almost, and I would say like almost like what the NFL does, but more than 2 rounds, right? You know, I mean, if it's something that can happen throughout the season where there's a team from the U.S., I know scheduling, you know, may play a part in that, but it would be pretty good look. What are your thoughts, TJ, on that? Seeing more American teams in World Superbike?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should have more wild cards. Like, I don't know if the last 2 rounds, like, you know, would work, but obviously with the scheduling and stuff, that's what fits the best. But I think definitely at least 2 manufacturers should be eligible to be in a wild card to see more Americans. Like, you know, our point of view is different. Like, we want to see Americans over there competing and finally get our foot in the door again. But you know, we want to. How about their point of view? They probably want to also see more Americans come in and see what we got. You know, so the more that we bring over there, the more fans that can participate in the whole. So yeah, I think it's definitely not just one because we're just focusing on Bobby at this point.
Right.
Whoever's in the round, but like if there's more than one, we got something to actually kind of put forward and put on the table.
Right, right. What are your thoughts, Shakes, on that? I mean, it's you're a numbers guy. You're talking about another numbers guy. You're talking about the motorcycle industry dropping 1% every year. I assume you're going from the '80s when it was beautiful and everybody was making money. But what are your thoughts on that? Does it? How much does it? How much would it help the racing community by having more American teams in the U.S.? I mean, in World Superbike.
Again, it's when we look at the NFL has ran out of athletes in America. Like there's just no more athletes in America. So now there's the NFL Africa. Now that's the new farm system. How many countries are in Africa, right? What does that do? That then opens the sport up and makes it more worldwide.
Right.
Right? When you have the NBA is great when you got Jordan jumping around and winning championships, but I would like to see the numbers. Who did more for the NBA? Michael Jordan or the very tall dude for the Houston? What was his name? The
Yao
tall
Ming.
Yao Ming, right? Who did more for bringing the sport to a more national level? Was it Jordan or Yao Ming? Because remember, once Yao Ming came in and we cracked, because the Chinese market was tough. They loved this. They were locked in. But when Yao Ming came over, it just blew that apart. These are things that are necessary for sports to grow, the business to grow. We can scale by letting in good riders. Excuse me. And we don't want to water down the sport, right? There has to be a second, a second, like these are the seconds in, and you can't be that many seconds over. And then that allows you to come in because we still want to keep the quality of the sport quality. But it can't help to expand. And where are most of your sales coming from, Yamaha and all you guys? Like, where are your sales coming from? In America, I remember when I was a young lad in England, you couldn't just go to a dealership and buy a 1000. You have to start with a 20, then a 30, and you got to take tests, and you could go. But America's just
and you're talking about lawnmowers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in America, it's a free for all. As long as you got the money, you could go buy the bike. But we don't want people killing each other. But we also try to move bikes too. So they got to figure out what market for them is lacking. And I think they do I think they do more sales in America than they do globally. You have to push the sport here, and you have to get it on the ground level. It's very simple. It's AAU. It's football in Europe. It's we expand. We look for new blood, right? And you can see that, especially in football now. Well, my football is, you have a slew of Africans, you have a slew of Spaniards, you have a slew of Italians, you have a slew of Brazilians, because they're expanding the sport out and they're just grabbing.
You didn't say English.
We're terrible. I mean, we suck. All us English people have to do is just one job: keep all the tracks dry. We just got to keep the tracks dry. That's all people are asking for, and we screw that up. So that just tells you how we are.
Lewis, I don't know how you follow that, but you heard a lot there. There's some things to unpack. Is it doable? Should it be done?
I can try to unpack that, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So Yao Ming, as an example, he did open the market up to a very big market. China is one of the biggest markets in the world because of the amount of people, just the population. But if I were to go anywhere in the world and say Yao Ming, or anywhere in the world and say Michael Jordan, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to know who Michael Jordan is. 99 times out of 100, they're not going to know who the fuck Yao Ming is. Because there's a difference between a regional star and a global star. And Yao Ming was a huge star to get us into China. But Michael Jordan is that next level. He's that Valentino Rossi. He's that name that's recognized around the world. And as far as where the most motorcycles are sold, motorcycles, the highest volume of motorcycles that are sold for the Asian brands is not sold in the US. They're sold in smaller displacements in countries all around the world. This is why they don't put a lot of focus because nobody's buying. There's a reason they are kind of discontinuing the R1. It's not because they want to, it's because they don't feel like investing in a platform that's not bringing them back the ROI that they want. I can either invest millions of dollars to build a new motor just for the R1, or I can take all that money and I can build more smaller displacement bikes that I can sell in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in all these Asian and developing countries where these are places that eventually in the future they're going to increase their ability to buy. Their buying power gets bigger. They're able to buy a larger bike. So I'm getting them and indoctrinating them into my brand at a very low price, and this is what they did in the US through the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. And then in the mid 2000s when the market here went to shit, it never recovered because this new generation is not looking to invest in these products again, and the price of the products has gone up. Is the only company that has a different market strategy is Ducati. Ducati doesn't make small displacement motorcycles for Malaysia and for all these places because they're not building in volume. They're building to a certain amount because this is the profitability that they want to maintain. So they don't mind selling a $30,000 motorcycle because they only need to sell 3,000 of those $30,000 motorcycles to make what Yamaha's making selling $30,300 motorcycles. So this is all the mathematics of why is Ducati doing more in racing? Because that's their bread and butter. Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, racing is not their bread and butter. Racing is a nice place to display their name and put their name out there, but their bread and butter is in smaller displacements and trying to go into developing markets. So I think that explains a little bit of some of the stuff that Shakes was saying. I can't wrap my head around all of it because it was a lot. But now back to the racing part of it. The reason that we only get wild cards at the end of the season is because we don't have a World Superbike race in the US during the season. If we had one round in the US during the season, you would probably see 2 or 3 or maybe 4 people participate in that race because they don't have to pay the expense of shipping their bikes and everything else across the world to race in Europe or race somewhere else. Also, during the season, do you really want your rider that you paid for to race this year in this class going to Europe and possibly hurting themselves and screwing your opportunity up here because you do have sponsors that you're responsible to in the US? So these are all the little nuance pieces that people have to look at. The biggest piece that's missing is what I said in the last podcast. World Superbike needs to bring back one round to the US. And they need to make that round available to not only Superbike guys, but I would like to see 2 or 3 of our Super Sport guys competing in Super Sport. If they don't have to ship their bikes, their mechanics, and all their stuff around the world, if they just got to travel to Laguna Seca or Coda or someplace else, then that's an opportunity for our racers to race on those platforms on tracks that they already know where they might be a little bit more competitive, where they don't have a learning curve, and they don't have to worry about a huge time change. They don't have to worry about bringing different mechanics it becomes a little bit more of a level playing field. They're probably still not going to be competing at the top level, but they will be more competitive and there'll be more engagement. I'm looking at some numbers right now and, we'll discuss them later, but the opportunity is there for World Superbike to bring the platform here and let our riders use that platform to elevate their names. And who knows, maybe one of our riders, 2 of our riders catch the interest of some of these bigger teams.
Right.
And now the teams would say, hey, that guy that raced in the US, maybe that's an opportunity to get a US rider into our team so that we can expand ourselves even more. Because right now, World Superbike is contracting. They're doing less races. They're going to less countries. They're in this weird little space where they've actually become smaller, not bigger. And whereas MotoGP keeps adding rounds, it seems like World Superbike keeps taking away rounds or keeps taking away destination points to try to keep the cost down. and it's going to hurt them eventually. Like there's no need to them to go to a place where they're not going to make a lot of attendance.
Right.
But to
I
not
agree.
come to the U.S. or not come to South America, where you have fanatic motorcycle racers, like you're leaving out two big opportunities to get in front of a lot of fans and continue to grow your brand instead of shrink your brand. So do you want to be the European Championship or do you truly want to be the World Championship? Because you're going to fucking Australia, and that's fucking far, bro. It's not cheap to go to Australia. So you can go to Australia and you can't come to the US. It's like an 82,000 hour flight to Australia, bro. It's faster to go to the moon and back.
Well, I gotta assume that somebody over there is
Amen.
dropping off a big fat check to Donna to make it happen to show up. So